So today I'm going to show you how I make my DIY pack scrunchies. So I sell these on my Etsy and my website as well, Madebytaylahrose. They can make 2 scrunchies per pack. One is already half made and one is just the flat piece of fabric. This is a hand sewn tutorial. You can use a sewing machine if you have one, but I'll be teaching you how to do it with just the needle and thread. I actually teach scrunchie tutorials at the Bean the Spider in Morwell. You might have already attended one, or you might be interested in attending one in the future. But if you can't get there, I do sell these online and they come with everything you need to make one. So we'll get right into that and I'll show you how to make them.
So we've got our DIY scrunchie kit. It has everything you need except scissors. So we'll open that one up. So it's got the pre-sewn scrunchie. We've got the thread, elastic. We've got the pre-cut scrunchie. Got the instructions, and we have the sharp objects, which are the safety pin and the needle. So first we'll thread the needle. So we'll grab the needle and the thread, and if the thread is a little bit jagged, you can use the scissors to cut an even edge, because this helps with threading the needle. Once we've got a clean cut, we can just slip it through. Once you've got that through, we'll just pull that thread and make it maybe 20 to 30 centimeters long. I wouldn't make it too long if you're just starting out, because it can get a little bit tangled up and a little bit tricky. Once you've got enough that you feel comfortable with, it's doubled up, so we'll cut at the end and you'll end up with 2 threads now rather than just one. So once we've got the doubled up thread, we're going to tie a knot at the end. This way, when we put the needle into the fabric, it won't come straight through. To tie a knot, you can loop it around your finger and then pop it back through that loop. I usually try to do this a couple times just to make sure the knot is big enough, and this helps because when you put it into the fabric, sometimes it will come straight through if you don't have a big enough knot. Now that we've got our needle sorted, we will get our piece of fabric out and make sure we can distinguish between the pretty side and the back side of the fabric. So what we want to do is fold, so we've got the pretty side on the inside. Start from either end. So we want to sew on the side that has the opening, not on the side that is curved. So we just want to make sure we're sewing it together rather than sewing on the curved side. So then we will put the needle through. We don't want to put it too close to the edge, maybe 1/2 centimeter inwards to leave us a seam, and then we'll pull it straight through and do a little tug to see if the knot comes through. If it doesn't, we'll continue on. If the knot does come through, you'll just need to do a bigger knot. We're going to do the same thing coming from the back side, coming towards the front side and looping around, like in a big circle. And we just want to make sure that our stitches are quite close together and that we're getting both sides of the fabric. And we'll continue that until we have a little bit of thread left, but enough to make a knot. When we get about this much thread left, we're going to stop because we need to tie it off. If we keep going and we only end up with a little bit of thread, it's going to be really hard to tie it off. So we'll stop here. And what we're going to do is we're going to loop around again, and then we're going to go underneath that loop. And then we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to stop when we've got a little bit of a circle happening. So when we've got the bit of the circle happening, we're going to pop the needle back through the circle and we're going to pull tight. And then we're just going to repeat that step. So you can do that more than once if you like, Usually twice is enough, just to be safe and secure. We're going to grab the scissors now and just cut off the needle. We're going to leave maybe a centimetre or more of the thread, so we don't want to cut too close just in case. And now we need to rethread the needles, so you can just watch the first part again, or if you remember how to do it, that's great. And we're just going to rethread and tie a knot again, and then we'll start stitching from where we left off. And just do another tug test again. If the thread comes out straight away, you'll just need to do a couple more knots at the end of the thread just to hold it in place. So I'm just going to speed this one up again. So I'm just stitching as we were before, going over and then back through, and just like looping it around. So I do these quite close together as well. If you run out of thread before you get to the end, you'll just need to tie it off again, and just make sure you keep an eye on how much thread you have left, because you don't want to run short. Because if you don't have enough thread, it gets a little bit tricky to tie. So once you've sewn all the way down, we're going to do another knot so the thread doesn't come back through. So we're just going to tie it off again. And then once we do that, we're going to go along and just check if there's any gaps or holes before we flip it. You can usually tell because you might have missed the other side of the fabric. If that happens, you'll just have to go over it again and make sure you get both sides of the fabric. Next, we're going to grab the safety pin because we're going to flip the tube inside out. So we're going to open up the safety pin and put it into the fabric. I usually put it in about 1 centimetre or more because you don't want to put it too close to the edge. Once we do that, we're going to close the safety pin up and we're going to sort of wiggle it with our fingers. So we're going to push it in and move our thumbs and our fingers and push it up. So the goal is to get that safety pin all the way up to the other end of the tube. As we move the safety pin up, you'll notice it bunches up a lot. So we're going to hold with our thumb and finger at the top of the safety pin, and with our other hand we're going to move that scrunch all the way down. So we're just gonna sort of fiddle with it, and then we're going to find the bottom of the safety pin again and just make sure our fingers are nice and tight on that one. And then with our other hand we're going to just push the fabric down just like we did at the start until we can't really push anymore. And then we're just going to do the same as we did before and pull the scrunchy part down so we can get more fabric onto the safety pin. Once you've reached the end and you can now see the safety pin, you're going to want to grab that with your fingers and then slowly and gently pull it all the way through, so then we've flipped the whole thing. Now we grab one of the elastic pieces and we put the safety pin on one of the ends, and we're just going to wiggle that safety pin into the tube. We're just going to keep pushing the safety pin up. Just make sure you can feel it as you go and wiggle it up there. And also never let go of the end of the elastic, because if you let go it will come straight back up the tube and then you'll have to start again. So this is where another safety pin can come in handy, because you can safety pin the other end to the fabric and then it will stay in place. But if you don't have another safety pin, that's fine. You just need to hold it with your fingers. Then we're going to use our fingers and we're going to wiggle up the safety pin, and we're just going to make sure we're not letting go of the end of the elastic, otherwise it will come straight up through. And we're just going to wiggle it all the way through until we get the elastic all the way to the end. Once you've got both ends of elastic, we're going to do a knot. So it's sort of like tying a balloon and very similar to how we tied a knot for the needle. So we're going to loop it around our finger and then pop it back through that loop that we've just made, and we'll pull tight. Then we want to make sure all of the edges, so the seam that we just did, is on the outside. So we'll just move the scrunchie along and make sure that it's all facing the outside rather than all tangled up. Once that's looking all good, we're going to want to flip one side of the opening inwards into itself. And I'll probably use about 1 centimeter and just carefully tuck it inwards. And once that's all tucked in, we want to put that side over the other side to cover up any loose ends or any threads. So we'll just tuck that in there. And it's probably best to tuck it under about 1 centimeter just to make sure when we do sew it, you get both sides. Just put some more thread on the needle now and tie another knot. Once we've done that, we'll insert the needle onto one of the edges. So we want to sew across where we've just tucked under to close it all up. So to do this, we'll put the needle in and pull it straight through, and then instead of looping around, we're going to go up and down this time. So we'll pull it straight through and then we'll put it through the other side next to where we've just pulled the needle through. And we're going to continue this up down stitching, which is called a running stitch, all the way across. Once we've stitched all the way to the other side, we'll do another knot and then cut the thread. And this time we can cut quite close to the knot, but just make sure we don't cut the knot off. And then that's scrunchie number 1 done. And then to do the pre-sewn scrunchie, all you got to do is follow the steps from when we've already flipped the tube. So then we'll put the elastic through, tie the knot, and then stitch across.
I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I'll be making more tutorials in the future in regards to making bows and scrunchies again, but this time with the sewing machine. Hopefully this helps if you have ordered one of my DIY packs and find a video more instructive than just the instructions. Yeah, I know it can be a bit hard if you're not really sure and the instructions just aren't making sense. It is better to see it happen rather than just read the instructions and try and imagine it in your head. So I hope this tutorial does help a bit, and I'll be linking them to my Etsy and my website as well for people that have purchased it and are purchasing them in the future. You'll be able to watch this tutorial and it should help you a lot. And don't forget to like, subscribe and comment and let me know what videos you want next. I hope you have a good day and thank you for watching.